Have you ever witnessed a single moment, just a passing embrace, a brief exchange of glances, that cracked open a hidden world of jealousy, heartbreak, and questions too painful to answer? Have you ever asked yourself how two of the world's most admired idols could look so unbreakable on stage, yet drift so far apart when no one was supposed to be watching? Tonight, millions of stunned fans are asking those questions over and over again, replaying the same footage, searching for clues that might explain why Jungkook, the golden-hearted youngest member of BTS, appeared to shatter before their eyes. What really happened in that instant when Taehyung, known to the world as V, slipped his arm effortlessly around Park Bo-gum in front of the cameras at the Celine fashion show? Was it simply a warm gesture between close friends? Or was it something far more complicated? A calculated display that left Jungkook feeling abandoned in a spotlight that suddenly felt colder than ever? If you haven't seen the footage, you might wonder how a hug could ignite such an uproar. But if you have, you already know there was something in Jungkook's expression, a flicker of disbelief, quickly masked by a practiced smile, that made the moment feel less like an innocent greeting and more like a fracture no one was prepared to acknowledge. Is it true that behind the glittering flashbulbs and polished public statements, Taehyung and Jungkook have been drifting apart for months, if not years? Are these rumors of private disagreements and silent rivalries finally surfacing, no longer containable by carefully edited group photos and fan service moments? As the videos and photographs spread like wildfire across every corner of the internet, one question seems to haunt every caption, every thread, every desperate speculation. Was this the moment Taehyung finally broke? Consider how perfectly the scene was set for controversy. The Celine fashion show, an event drenched in prestige and exclusivity, was always going to attract headlines. Taehyung, whose partnership with Celine has already made him a darling of the luxury fashion elite, arrived looking every inch the global superstar, his hair perfectly tousled, his expression confident and unreadable. Beside him, Park Bo-gum, the beloved actor whose own friendship with Taehyung has been documented in countless viral clips and interviews, matched his charisma with a gentle charm that has endeared him to legions of fans. But what no one expected was that as the cameras rolled, Taehyung would lean in, wrap Bo-gum in an affectionate hug, and linger there, smiling in a way that felt intimate, almost proprietary. Some onlookers said the crowd gasped. Others said the reaction was quieter, a collective sharp intake of breath as fans and reporters alike realized they were witnessing something raw and unscripted. Yet what happened next was even more shocking. Jungkook, who had been standing just a few steps behind, seemed to freeze. For a split second, the cameras caught his face, eyes wide, mouth slightly open, a mixture of hurt and disbelief. Did he expect this? Did he already suspect that Taehyung's closeness with Bo-gum was more significant than any of them had been told? Or was this the first undeniable confirmation that he was no longer the person Taehyung would turn to first? Why has this moment unleashed such a storm of speculation and heartbreak across ARMY communities worldwide? Perhaps because for years, Taehyung, the shorthand for Taehyung and Jungkook's famously affectionate friendship, has been held up as proof that even in the cutthroat world of global fame, some bonds remain unshakable. Fans have watched them grow up together, laugh together, cry together. They've seen them share hotel rooms on tour, exchange knowing glances in interviews, and reassure each other in moments of pressure no outsider could fully understand. So how could this hug, this seemingly simple gesture with Bo-gum, have struck such a deep nerve? Is it possible that this was the culmination of something much longer in the making, a gradual distancing that no one wanted to see? Could the mounting demands of individual schedules, brand endorsements, and creative ambitions have quietly eroded the closeness that once felt invincible? Or is the truth even more painful, that Taehyung, in his quest for artistic independence and validation beyond the BTS name, has simply outgrown the bonds that once defined him? No one knows for sure. But the reactions from fans have been nothing short of explosive. Within minutes of the footage surfacing, hashtags like #TaehyungIsOver and #JungkookDeservesBetter began trending in multiple countries. Comment sections filled with grief-stricken posts, some accusing Taehyung of deliberate cruelty, others begging for understanding, and still others wondering whether the entire incident has been blown out of proportion by a fandom addicted to drama. But is it really an overreaction when the pain was written so clearly across Jungkook's face? Eyewitness accounts from the venue suggest that after the cameras moved on, Jungkook quietly slipped away from the main crowd, lingering near the side entrance with his phone clutched tightly in his hand. Was he trying to compose himself before rejoining the group? Was he texting someone, a confidant, a manager, or perhaps Taehyung himself, demanding answers? Some claim they saw staff members approach him cautiously, as though afraid to intrude on whatever storm was gathering behind his calm expression. If those reports are true, it would be the first tangible evidence that the moment wasn't just a harmless display of camaraderie. And yet, in the hours that followed, neither Jungkook nor Taehyung offered any clarification. No statements, no denials, no reassurances. Just a yawning silence that only fueled more speculation. Was this calculated? A deliberate choice to let the rumors burn themselves out? Or was it a sign that neither knew how to address the questions their actions had unleashed? Some fans have pointed to recent interviews where Jungkook hinted at feeling left behind by the shifting priorities of those around him. In one particularly telling moment, he spoke about the loneliness that can creep in when everyone is busy pursuing their own paths. At the time, many interpreted his words as a general reflection on fame. But in hindsight, could they have been coded references to Taehyung's increasingly public closeness with Bogum? If so, what does that say about the unspoken resentments simmering beneath the surface? And what about Taehyung's side? To his supporters, the hug was nothing more than a celebration of friendship between two artists who have supported each other for years. They argue that fans are reading too much into a moment that was never intended to hurt anyone. But if that's true, why did Taehyung look so determined, so unflinchingly confident, even as Jungkook's reaction unfolded just a few steps away? Could it be that he knew exactly what message he was sending, and simply no longer cared who might be hurt in the process? Is this the price of growing up in the public eye, that every gesture becomes a litmus test for loyalty? Every smile a possible betrayal? Or is it something deeper, that in the crucible of unimaginable fame, even the most genuine friendships are doomed to fracture under the strain of competing ambitions? These are the questions that have kept millions of fans awake through the night, scrolling through clip after clip, hoping for some hint of reconciliation that is yet to come. What will happen when BTS finally reunites in the studio or on stage? Will this incident fade into the background, a footnote in a long history of shared triumphs? Or will it linger, an unspoken wound that no amount of rehearsed camaraderie can fully heal? Already, some insiders are whispering that the group's dynamic has shifted irrevocably, that what happened in Paris was simply the first visible crack in a foundation that has been weakening for far longer than anyone realized. And what of Jungkook himself? In the hours after the show, his social media accounts remained eerily quiet. No cryptic lyrics, no reassuring photos, no casual posts to diffuse the tension. For someone whose every move is scrutinized by millions, that silence felt louder than any direct confirmation could have. Was he too angry to pretend everything was fine? Too heartbroken to put on the mask of indifference? Or perhaps, most unsettling of all, he had simply accepted that whatever bond he thought he shared with Taehyung was no longer the priority it once was. You might wonder how something as simple as a hug could create this level of turmoil. But for a fandom that has built entire narratives around the constancy of Taekook's friendship, this moment felt like a betrayal of everything they believed in. It was a reminder that no matter how much we project our hopes onto our idols, their relationships are their own. Messy, complicated, and often impossible to reduce to the comforting stories we wish were true. As the dust settles, one question remains. What comes next? Will Taehyung reach out to Jungkook behind the scenes to mend the rift? Will they eventually appear side by side in another carefully choreographed show of unity? Or will the silence stretch on, each day making it clearer that this was not an accident, but a turning point, a deliberate step away from a bond that no longer served who they were becoming? And perhaps the most painful question of all, if even Taekook can break, what hope is there for any of us who believed in unbreakable connections?